Hey guys, welcome in. It's really good to see you all here, and I've got a very special guest with me tonight. And it's my first ever podcast, so excuse the nerves, but I'm going to introduce to you a fan favourite from my favourite game, Red Dead Redemption 2, Mr. Sean Maguire. Mick Mellamphy, welcome in, Mick. It's good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Lynette, and I can't believe I'm the first one ever. This is
You're
magic.
my first ever podcast, yeah.
I'm
So,
absolutely thrilled and beside myself to be here doing this with you.
well,
Thank you for asking, and it's a pleasure.
yeah, you're more than welcome. Thank you again. Right, just to get us started, tell us a bit about Mick Mellamphy.
Little bit about Mick Mellamphy. Well, I'm feckin' old, so there's a lot.
Makes two of us.
Well, you don't look at love. I do.
Oh, no, you don't.
I got to get the just for men on the beard. That's actually a funny thing because when I got the part of Sean and I was told what age he was, I was like, I'm about 17 or 18 years older than that, and now I'm even more older. So,
Oh,
but
well, I'm
my name,
almost at the end of my 50s.
you don't even look at me, love. You look
I
fucking
feel
great.
it.
You look great. You look great. A little bit about myself. I'm an actor. I'm from Ireland. I've been living in New York for about 25 years. I've been very, very blessed to be part of the video game world and Red Dead and all the rest of it. I've made many friends out of it. I spend most of my time doing lots of plays and lots of theater here in New York.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time it's off Broadway, it's wonderful work. I do plays in restaurants and bars and all sorts of places. So, the fact that I get to work in this world, in the video game world, has brought me an awful lot of joy. It's fun, it's wonderful. I started working as an actor when I was about 11 years of age. I got my first professional gig at the Cork Opera House in the musical Oliver, which is based on Oliver Twist. I played the
Great.
Artful
Yeah.
Dodger. The Artful Dodger was
You're,
my,
oh, well,
you
any
know,
other part that you had to play
yeah.
the Artful Dodger.
Well, the Artful Dodger, for people who may not know musicals and that whole world, the Artful Dodger is kind of like Sean Maguire as a young fella. Uh, he was the little thief and the leader of a pack. And I got the bug at a young age. I was encouraged to get into acting and theatre in the schools I went to in Cork in Ireland. And it was just something that, it felt natural to get up on the stage. And I went off to drama school when I finished secondary school and had wonderful people instructing me along the way. And I have to say, I'm very, very fortunate because I've always had really great kind of support and people around me all my life who just always encouraged me to kind of just do it. So, if you've got people in your life who show that they're interested in the arts in any sphere, I would just encourage them to keep on encouraging them because you never know what could happen. You might end up in a
Exactly.
video game getting your head blown off.
Very sad moment in the game. We were just getting to know Sean after freeing him, and then we go into just chaos and mayhem for the poor man. Yeah.
We'll jump right into it. I mean, obviously, when it was being made, it's not done in sequence, so you're doing all sorts of scenes out of place. That's how they do work in a lot of television and film and stuff. And I didn't expect it. And then when you finally see the final product, which is wonderful, it's an epic
It,
story. It's an
it
epic,
really is. It really is. It's
really is.
masterpiece. I don't
It,
care what
it,
MD says. It's a big word, masterpiece,
it's
but
a
it
masterpiece
really is.
of art. It really is a piece of great art. And
Mm.
the thing is, you hear about this guy Sean, and you go on this mission to kind of rescue him, and I'm biased because I love Sean, but he brings crack, he brings fun to the camp.
He
And
does.
there's a lot of great kind of storytelling and singing, and everyone's having a good time. And it's almost like, oh, we thought we were in for a bit of a tough kind of a ride here, and now it's all fun. It's a bit of a laugh, and Sean brings a lot of jokes and a lot of levity, and a lot of kind of comedy to the piece. And then all of a sudden, he's snuffed out. And I've always felt like when I watched the game and when I've played it, and I've watched it a lot more than I've played it, I really felt it was really amazing storytelling on the part of
Yeah.
Rockstar because they bring the audience to a certain point where they think they're going in a certain direction. And then with that scene, with Sean, it's like, oh, this is serious. This is
Mhm.
hardcore. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be surprised. So, as much as it sucked that he was one of the first to get it, I also feel very privileged that, it was quite a shocking moment and it was a
It
very
was. It was heartbreaking.
was intense. I've seen some of the videos of people reacting to it,
Mhm.
and I love it. I love the fact that people got such a shock out of it. So it was. I'm just very proud and privileged to have been a small part of such a great thing, and especially you know the arc of his character and where he brought you, and
Definitely.
what happens afterwards in the game.
Mhm. Yeah. Sean, great character. R.I.P. Mr. Maguire. Tell us a bit about your charities and your marathons. Yeah, I, I know you're going to be running the New York this year,
I don't know if running is the right word.
but you're
Anybody
also,
out there in a wheelchair, I might need a lend of it by the time I get halfway through.
yeah,
Um, I love running. Running is something that has always been a part of my life for a long time. I actually ran the New York Marathon back in 2010 for another charity called Team for Kids, which is a
mm,
great charity here in New York. I've run the Dublin Marathon the year later. I've done a bunch of half marathons. Running for me is very much a mental endeavor. It's a headspace thing. It's a way
yeah,
to um, kind of quiet a lot of the noise that goes on, in our heads. I know we're all much better nowadays about talking about mental health, and I've found that if I can get out and run a mile or 2 miles or 26.2 miles, um, it sets me up in a way where I feel like I can achieve anything.
yeah,
It's a great way of humbling oneself because there's always someone faster, and it's a great way of just saying, this is something that's quite basic and you can do it.
yeah.
um I've lots of moments, we all have our challenges, and I've had lots of moments in my life where I've been challenged, and to get out and put on the sneakers and go for a run or a walk, it just makes me kind of feel very good. So this year I'm actually running the New York City Marathon for a brilliant charity called Play Rugby USA. Their mission is to help underserved and underprivileged youth across New York City, help them achieve their dreams in getting into third level education, getting into college and university through rugby. They introduce young American kids to the sport of rugby. Obviously, you're up there in Scotland, I'm Irish. We know how much camaraderie and what you can learn through a sport like rugby.
Oh, definitely.
That teaches them team building. It teaches them really, really great skills that
Mhm.
they can kind of, use when they're going into third level education. And this particular charity, Play Rugby USA, they have like a 99% success rate in terms of the people who come through their program and end up going on to achieve even bigger and better things later.
That is incredible. It really is.
I'm really proud to
Yeah.
be associated with them. They've given me an opportunity to do what I love, which is run. And so I've been trying to raise a few funds for them over the course of the last 6 months while I've been training.
Well, I will link the charity in the video when I'm putting it up, and hopefully some of the viewers might donate a bob or
I,
two.
I appreciate that greatly. And I'm going to try to do something in the next few days. I'll share it with you on social media. I have a T-shirt. It's one of a kind. I wore it when I ran the Chicago 10 miler back in May. And it's a picture of Sean Maguire on it, and it's got Maguire's milers on it, and it's like, don't lose your head when you're running. So I'm going to sign that, and for everyone who donates to the charity, I'm going to draw someone's name out of a hat and send it to them after the marathon is over as a thank you for people reaching out. That's a post I'm going to create in the next week or so before the marathon. So hopefully it'll encourage a few more people to support me. And
Well, I'll definitely get that shared out for you on all
thank
the
you.
social medias, and hopefully, as I said, fingers crossed, it'll all go well.
I
So,
appreciate it. I listen. I just want to finish. I just want to cross the finish line. That's it. I'm not hoping. I'm not going to win. I know I'm not going to win. I might come second or third, but I won't win.
I'm not going to say what I was thinking there because it's a little bit rude. But all right, what else was going to say? Oh yeah, I noticed you've only got a couple of videos on your YouTube channel,
I do.
and
Oh shit!
and
That's the old days.
oh yeah, no, I had
Sweet
to look
Sean,
at
dude.
them. I had to look at them, and that little stand-up comedy bit you did at what was that? The
The
comedy
comic
club.
strip.
Yeah, the comedy club gig that you did. I really enjoyed that. Was that your first time ever doing stand-up?
It was. I started doing the stand up at a point in my life when I was I was a little bit lost, and I'd already been working as an actor for a few years. I used to own a pub here in New York. I was working as a bartender. I owned a bar. I was doing my acting, and I kind of wanted a new challenge. And I decided to try my hand at a little bit of stand up. I appreciate you finding that.
I
You could be,
actually really enjoyed it. It was good.
you're like Johnny
Yeah.
Depp over there. You're like a pirate burying treasure. You're finding all sorts.
Oh, it's all right. I've got your Italian roasted coffee video saved as well. That was amazing. Yeah, that was a dream, wasn't it?
What's that?
You had a strange dream, and
Oh,
you
that
made
was
up a dream story, Italian roasted coffee
That's right. I put that up on
and
YouTube.
steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been
That
on YouTube in years, but I did put a bunch of comedy strip stuff up there that I used to do. Um, I just did it as a challenge. The comedy stuff I did as a challenge to myself, just to see what it was like. I love stand-up comedy. I think comedians are like some of our truest artists. I think they look at the world in a certain way, and they go out there and they're really vulnerable. And I
mm,
kind of wanted to experience what it was like to be so vulnerable in front of an audience. Obviously, my background is theatre, and I love being on stage. But you always have that safety net of a playwright and a director. Even if you're doing a one-man show or if you're in a
yeah.
cast, you've got a team behind you. With stand-up, from my experience, it's very much like it's like jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. Like you're doing it, you're throwing caution to the wind. And I discovered a lot about myself, and I found it a very lonely experience. But it was terrifying, but it was also fun.
Yeah.
It was something I just wanted to do. I don't know if I'll ever go back to stand, if I'll ever do it again. I have thoughts about it. I think about it. I do write down little stories and things that I think could work. But you'll be among one of the first to know if I ever do with a stand up again. I promise.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
Other-
It's like you say, it takes a lot of guts to get up on that stage,
Yeah.
especially when you're up there on your own and you're looking at all these people, and your job is to make them laugh.
Well, that's the difference.
You
With
know?
comedy, your job is to make them laugh. And the thing as well with an audience with comedy, a lot of the time they're coming in and they're saying, "Make me laugh." And that's the difference between that and theater. When you up on stage in theater, obviously the audience is there, but you do have that kind of safety net of a script and a play, and the audience is very much on your side because they want to hear the story. They want to join you in the story. So
Yeah.
it's a very different beast and a different animal. But yeah, it was an experience. I loved it. I actually have about 8 or 9 CDs somewhere because I did it back when I don't even think iPhones were around when I did it. Some guy with a little camera and put it on a CD. And the first couple of ones I did, I was, up there with a shirt and tie and hey, so like very much like Jerry Seinfeld. And by the end of it, I was like torn shirt, couple of beers, like I don't care anymore. I definitely went on a journey with my stand up. So we'll see
Yeah.
if we get back
Well,
to it.
like I say, I really enjoyed the gig that you did there at the comedy club.
Thanks.
Um, and the audience liked it as well. You got a good few laughs, and the fact that you laughed like Sean in it, that had me cracking up as well. You've still got that. Is that your real laugh?
I think it must be. Yeah, it must be. It's
Either
funny.
that, or either that, or maybe the nerves brought it out.
Maybe it is. No, I don't know. Again, and going back to Sean, like the guys that who created the game, Rockstar, they were great. They just let me kind of inhabit Sean any way I wanted. So they gave me a lot of freedom to bring what I wanted to the character of Sean. Like they didn't sit me down and say this is who he has to be. They kind of allowed an awful lot of leeway for me to kind of create. And I mean that's the genius of what they do, and that's great storytelling.
It really
Great
is. The fact
storytelling.
that they actually brought an Irish actor in to play an
Yeah.
Irish character,
Oh, believe me.
a real accent.
Oh, believe me, I appreciated that because I've gone for lots of auditions and I've heard the oh top of the morning at the end of it all. I'm like,
Or
why
to be sure, to be sure.
sure, where's the lucky charm? They were very good about the authenticity, and I appreciated that big time.
Yeah. And what about Colm O'Driscoll?
Well, that's a funny one. There's a little story, and I'm going to tell you the story. I actually was quite friendly with Roger prior to Red Dead. He worked at a restaurant a block away from my bar, and we would meet up. He would come and do readings at my bar. We used to do play readings in theatre, and he auditioned for a play that I was doing in the summer where we were all dumping ice buckets on our heads. I can't remember what year it was, but it
That's right, the Ice Bucket Challenge.
was
Yeah.
12, 13 years ago. And he was cast in the play, and then he told us he couldn't do it because he had this other gig and didn't tell us what it was because, we all have NDAs, you're not supposed to let people know anything. And then years later, Jesus, about 3 years later, 2 years later, I walk in to my first day on the job, and there he is in his little scuba suit with dots, and he looked up, oh man, they got you doing this shit as well, yeah. I was like, oh man, what's the story? That's the reason why I couldn't do that play, And
Oh,
as we got into the different shoots and all, I started hearing the word Colm. And I said it to Rog one day, because Roger's from Sligo. He's Irish as well. He's from County Sligo. And I said to him, I said, what's the story with this Colm? They're all pronouncing Colm wrong. He's like, man, I've told them they don't listen. I don't know. And I mentioned it. I'm like, lads, this is wrong, lads. You're pronouncing it's Colm. It's not Colm. It's Colm. And again, the genius of what they do. They were like, I walked in one day and they had a script for me, and it was a script where I think I was beating up poor Kieran O'Driscoll, played by a brilliant actor called Pico Alexander, and I was giving him a hard time for pronouncing the word Colm wrong. And I was
I
like,
remember that. I remember that. You've kind of got him off to the side.
yeah, took him offside. It's Colm.
Yeah,
I'll batter you if you don't pronounce it properly.
that's right.
And I was like, again, like the generosity from the company to kind of actually listen to what we were saying as actors through our characters, and it just lends so much more to the world. And again, that's why I think this game stands the test of time, because they really did. They kind of listened to what we all had to kind of say in our input. So yeah, it was very, very. It made me very happy to be right for once.
Yeah, well, I did notice when I was playing the game that if, like, the O'Driscolls were obviously a mixed batch, they were Irish, they were American, things like that. I noticed the American O'Driscolls called him Combe,
That's
but
right.
the Irish O'Driscolls all called him Colm.
Colm, that's right.
Yeah,
Actually,
so
there was a very good friend of mine, Peter Halpin. He worked on the game, but he played a number of the O'Driscolls. He's an Irish actor over here, so he would have been part of the Colm camp,
yeah.
definitely. But yeah, it's
And I
again.
noticed, like, Ben Davis played an O'Driscoll at a train robbery bit.
Oh really? I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be Ben, because the voice, it's either Ben trying to impersonate an O'Driscoll impersonating Ben, or
Right.
somebody that just sounds a hell of a lot like him, because as soon as I heard the voice, I thought, that's Dutch robbing a train with O'Driscolls. But obviously the O'Driscoll looked nothing like Dutch. And it wasn't until afterwards I thought, I didn't realise at that point that several of the actors played one or two different parts,
Yeah,
filled in for
yeah.
people.
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't know. Jeez, that's something I wouldn't have a clue about. But that's interesting.
Well,
There-
Rob himself, Rob Wiedoff, was saying that he got to play one of the night folk.
Okay, that's
Yeah, and Roger plays Mary at the graveside at the end.
no way.
Yeah,
Are you
so
serious?
I
That's
think I
fun.
think you'll find all that out. You're doing Comic-Con, aren't you?
I am. We're actually getting
Yeah.
ready. I just got a text from. I actually got. We're all on a little. We all still. And again, one of the reasons why the game is so great is, we're all still buddies. A lot of us, we still chat, we still get on. So I know a few of them are flying into New York tonight. And Rob was asking, he says, "Oh, is anybody flying into LaGuardia tonight at a certain time?" Like, "Oh, no, unfortunately, I'm here already." But I think Roger might have played a bear in one of the scenes, I think.
I think he said something about. I'm trying to remember what Comic-Con I was watching. I watch a lot of them, obviously. I'm a big fan of the game, so I like to hear what the actors are saying about it at the Comic-Cons. So YouTube's great for.
Great for
It's
that. Have you been
great.
to Comic Con Scotland?
I haven't, no, because I was working security for several years, so I never got a chance to do a Comic Con, but I did do other gigs, football matches, things like that,
Nice.
So, yeah, it was good fun, but
What football
unfortunately, I
matches
never
would you
got to
get?
do
Well, confirm them.
Con, and because I was working, I didn't get to go to Comic Con.
Yeah.
I
I
did
don't.
see
I
the
haven't. I haven't done
costumes.
many. I haven't done many Comic Cons. I've done. This is probably my. I think this is my fourth con. It's my fourth in-person con event. I've done the. I did Dublin a couple of years ago, which was brilliant. I
Uh-huh.
got to go by myself, and I also met Charles Martinet, who is the voice of Mario. It's me, Mario.
Yeah.
And Charles had a few pints in Dublin, had a great time together. And then Charles actually has visited New York since. So when he comes to New York, we've gone out, I've taken him out for a few pints. He's an absolute gentleman. So again, these are the little gifts that this game has given me, which I'm very, very grateful for,
And it keeps on giving, yeah.
Keep on giving. It really does, really does.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to New York Comic Con because I think, like most of the Comic Cons that I have seen on YouTube and things, I know everybody's not there and things like that, but it's always seems to be, as Sean would say, the big cheeses that are
Yeah,
there.
the big
So
cheese.
that's part of the reason I wanted to do these podcasts was to give not so much the Edams the chance because they got all the glory, but to give us like the cheddars a chance.
Give the gorgonzolas an old sniff. Yeah, give the smelly cheeses, the
No,
ones,
these are the cheddars. These are the
ones,
cheddars.
the ones who are left on the shelf at Tesco's.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean,
Ones in the back of the fridge. Yeah.
I think every member of the gang has fans. There's no doubt about it. There's like I know yourself. You're a fan of Karen Jones.
Oh, I love Karen. I love Joe.
Joe
She's,
Armanock. She's a
I see.
fantastic actress.
She's brilliant. She's amazing. She's a good friend, and I'm honored to say, like, I actually see Joe quite a bit. We hang out. Like, she comes to events that I'm doing. Actually, I did a play here about 2 weeks ago. I did a one-man show in a pub, and Joe came to the closing. Actually, Joe and Howard, who plays Herr Strauss, both showed up on the final night. Jim Perry, who plays Angelo Bronte, he came with his wonderful daughter to my dress rehearsal. Roger came to the dress rehearsal and I did it off Broadway. Kylie Fernhoff, who's brilliant. Miss Grimshaw, she comes to everything I do. I've worked with Kylie.
My favorite character. One of my favorite characters is Miss Grimshaw. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll be seeing her in the next couple of days. So I'll see if I can
maybe I'll hit Kelly up at some point to see if she'll maybe do a little podcast with me.
I'll see.
I also want to get a hold of Joe as well.
Put in a word for you.
I also want to get a hold of Joe as well because I'm about to ask you a couple of questions about Sean and Karen's relationship. And I'd like to get Joe's point of view from Karen as well about how she feels. But from what I could tell, Sean and Karen are very, very much attracted to each other.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more on Karen's side, as in feelings wise. And I think Sean is very insecure when it comes to a lot of the things around camp. He tries to be gallus for the guys, cracking jokes and things like that. But when
Yeah.
it comes to Karen, yeah, he teases her and things like that, but he does shout out not long before they go into the tent, as Karen's going away to get a bottle of beer or something. He shouts out, I love that woman, or something like that.
I
Does
love that.
Sean really have feelings for Karen?
I think he did. You only catch a glimpse of it.
Yeah,
And it's also, apart from Arthur and Mary Linton, and maybe, and obviously Dutch and his kind of lost love and the O'Driscoll stuff,
yeah.
it's one of the few kind of little love stories.
Mm.
And I think, again, it's one of those things where you just want more of it. You want to see
Well,
more,
that's it. There's so much
you
that they could
know.
have done with the game.
Yeah, but that's
Uh,
also great storytelling because it pulls at your heartstrings and
of course,
you
yeah.
want more of this and you don't get it, and what you end up getting is the tragedy. So it's the classic kind of love story. It's Romeo and Juliet. It's and that's special. That's lovely and it's nice. I think Sean and Karen. I like to think that Sean probably would have whisked Karen back to County Cork and gone back to the farm and lived out their days.
Uh,
Loads of little
if only,
babies.
if only. Oh,
I kind of see them like the Outlander series there, like that they would have
oh, it's a great
been just
series. Yeah,
epic, an epic love story. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and we're left with what could have been, and who
yeah.
knows?
We
I
don't
mean,
get to find out what happens to Karen. That upsets me as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's again, it's just another kind of tragic part of the tale. But so much of the actual real history of the Wild West was tragic, was tough. And
Yeah.
again, that's what I think is great about this game is they don't shy away from actual kind of real world issues. It's like this is the real world, and that's a beautiful thing about it all. I will say that it was the most fun shooting the scenes with Joe. We had great crack. We had a lot of fun together. And
Uh,
she's a brilliant actor. She's
yeah.
amazing, and a lot of what you heard in the tent.
Oh, the tent dialogue's phenomenal.
Well, I was lucky because the way it's done is, she would record her stuff and I would record my stuff, and it wasn't really done next to each other. And the magicians who are the brilliant people who make the game make the real magic happen. But I got to hear what Joe had already done. So most of it is me reacting to what she's saying. And I was, for me as an actor, it was really like just mind blowing, like hearing what Joe had already done. And then she kind of served it up on a plate for me, like to react against. And again, that's why those particular scenes are so strong and powerful, is because of just how powerful and brilliant Joe Armanox is as an actor. So, it was all her. I
Yes.
came in and just
I find I don't know that I've only like in all the playthroughs I've ever done of the game. As you know yourself, I'm on my ninth one on YouTube. My ninth
high
playthrough.
honor,
I've done a lot more playthroughs than that since
high
I started
honor every
playing.
time, I bet.
Sorry?
Always high honor, right?
Well, I've played high honor, low honor, all four endings,
Good
100%.
for you.
I've done just about everything. It's got to the stage now where I'm actually doing forfeits.
Wow.
So if I get the dead screen for Arthur or John, I have to do these forfeits. Like the most recent one at the minute we're doing is if I get the dead screen, I have to shoot a lawman, hog tie a second lawman, and then BB out of there before I get killed again. So
That's
but
amazing.
but it's good fun. It's good fun. I love the game. You can do so much with it.
I got as far. I got as far. I hate to admit this. I didn't finish the game. I got as far as Warma. I got as far as the hot air balloon.
Oh yeah, a lot of
And
good scenes.
now what I do is I just, because I'm busy with other work, I don't really have a lot of time. But every once in a while, I just go back and I just wander around, and I like to go to the camp. I like to visit all my friends. I say, oh, there's Noshir. Ah, there's Noshir. I say, oh, there's Ben. Nice. Oh, there's Kylie, and it's mad.
It is, it is. I love all the camp interactions, and
Yeah,
you miss so much when you're not at camp because obviously you're skipping days. So
yeah.
if you were to just stay in camp for a week without Dutch or Miss Grimshaw moaning at you to get out and work, you
Hmm.
hear a lot of the interactions that you would normally miss.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
that's why I like playing low honor at times as well, because there's so much more dialogue, so much more you learn about the gang members,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Oh,
And
I didn't
it,
know that at all. Jesus.
oh, it's great. Yeah, I mean the dialogue in Arthur when he's antagonizing people, he's
Yeah.
not antagonizing to be nasty. The things that he says are things that need to be said. He just says it in an antagonistic way rather than just say, hey, look, instead of doing that, do this. But no, he's
Yeah.
like, you blah blah blah, and it's hilarious. The antagonism is hilarious and the way the gang reacts to it. Love it. There's
I'm going to get my
nothing
phone.
better than getting Arthur Morgan punched in the face just for his cheek.
I'm going to get my phone and stick on a light here because I can see I'm getting a little bit dark because the sun is going down here in New York City.
Yeah, love the
Just going
background.
to
I
do
was
a
in
little
New
bit of
York. Was in
a
New
little bit.
York the October
There we go.
before lockdown.
What
I
was
was
you were in New
actually,
York?
yeah, I was over there for a long weekend visiting friends that had met playing Pokemon, believe it or not.
Wow.
So, so I got the guided tour of like New York, all the tourist sites. So
Wow.
like, see, I got a photo taken at the bottom of Trump Tower. Boo hiss, we won't mention
Ah,
him. But I had to get my photo taken at Trump Tower, regardless of how you
absolutely.
feel about the man.
Well, I
Um,
was a citizen the morning after he was elected. I was in a room downtown with about 200 other people, and there's that guy up there saying, "Ah, you're all getting kicked out," and I'm like, "I'm not. Tough it. I'm staying."
quite right too, quite right.
I
Yeah.
just got in under the radar, and actually that was a little celebration we had because it was 2000 and it was 2016, I think it was, right around then, and it was nice when I went to back to work at the game.
Uh-huh.
I let everyone know. I was like, "Hey, do I look different?" And they're like, "What? Oh, your teeth? Oh my God, your teeth are whiter." Like, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, no, but
It's
yeah,
funny what people
the
don't
teeth are
notice, isn't it?
stylish.
Our minds are always got a yellow tinge to them because
Ah,
I
sure.
smoke and it's a bad
Yeah.
habit. Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to this game. I mean, I've got a couple of questions that some of my subscribers decided they wanted to ask you, if that's okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Will you hang on? I'm just going to plug in my computer because the plug came out of the wall, and I don't want the computer to die, so I want to make sure it's hooked up. Give me literally 2 seconds.
No worries.
One, two. That's the benefit of living in a nice, small New York City apartment. You're never far away from an outlet. Anyway.
Right. Okay. So I did post that if people had any questions to ask you, just to let me know, and I'd pick the best ones and ask. So it's
That was that.
it's only about half a dozen that I've got here offhand. But the
Oh.
first one is from Huckleberry, or
Hey,
Huck,
what's
as I
about
like
it?
to call him. Yeah, nice shout out. Um, do you know what breed of horse Sean had, and do you remember what the horse's name was?
Ennis.
Yeah, the horse was definitely named Innes. That I'm going to
Yeah,
give you that because
Ennis.
it
County
took me a
Clare.
long time to remember which horse belonged to whom. That's for sure.
Oh, Ennis,
Yeah.
and oh, Ennis because it's County Clare and it's a lovely town, but they have the worst pizza in the world. That's how I remember that. I won't name the pizzeria, but it's the worst
Right.
pizza that I've ever had.
Oh dear. Right. Now Simon's one of my moderators. He's also one of the members to my channel.
Yeah.
He would like to know if you could have played any other character, either in the gang or in the game, who would it be?
Who would I have played? Any other character? Well, Arthur Morgan would have been nice, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's got
I
to be
would
one
have
of
been,
the big cheeses, really, isn't it?
that would have been a healthy old paycheck. Um, if I could
I
have
don't
played,
know, did they not get Roger because he was cheaper?
I no, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know what his contract said. If I could have played any other character, in terms of, you know, I I really love. I mean, I love all the characters. I would have loved to have had a shot at a character like Micah. I think, you know, I think Micah is an amazing character in the game. I
Oh,
also happen to know
definitely.
Peter is, and actually Peter came to see my play as well a couple of weeks ago. Peter is like just this unbelievably brilliant artist and actor, and he was amazing and just fantastic. And I think what he did with that character is just pure art.
He took a bad guy and made him. I don't think you could ever hate another character as much as Micah.
And at the same time, just when you know, it's just he did an amazing. It was brilliant. Um, some of the other characters, I've a huge affinity for Lenny. The actor who played Lenny, Harron Atkins, is just an absolutely beautiful
Great actor.
person.
Did I hear on the grapevine that Lenny and Sean had been earmarked to take over the gang after Arthur and John started to question Dutch too much?
You know, that was something that was said at a panel. I think Benjamin Byron Davis, said that he was asked, like, if Arthur and John Marston were like the heirs to the Van der Linde gang, and Ben's opinion was actually that Sean and Lenny were the guys that he felt would have been the heirs apparent, you know,
Right.
who were being molded. And I love that take, but yeah, so I kind of always felt, as Sean, I always had a great affinity with Lenny. We got to do a lot of work together, and I really enjoyed work. I mean, I enjoyed working with everyone, but I really enjoyed working with Lenny. Um, I also, I mean, I think, again, Karen Jones, to me, there's a story to be told there that
Oh, yeah.
if
Yeah.
if I could have, that's another character that I think, I would really, really kind of love to have explored. Maybe because of her connection with Sean, but there's also a closeness there too.
Yeah.
But I mean, my God, there's so many just brilliant, brilliant characters throughout the game.
Yeah.
I've often thought as well, like, I would have loved to have been the guy. I can't remember his name. What's his name? He was the guy who was at the whenever you went to pay your bail. When you go to pay your bail in the different in
Oh, Alden at the train
Alden
station.
at the train station. I love that guy. He's like
I love Alden. I
such a
always
nice
say
kind of
that.
campy kind of guy. I'm like, oh, you're here to pay your bail off again? And I was like, I'd like to do that. That'd be a bit of fun. That was just like a cool
So
little-
you do some coach missions for him as well, some
yeah,
through Trelawney. Yeah,
I
some
love
great
I love
missions.
that. I thought there was all these other little kind of side characters. I thought, geez, that'd be fun to come in and do that for a day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's see, you missed because you haven't finished the game. You have missed a lot of great characters as well.
Yeah, I think I have. I think I will get there eventually. I'll get there eventually when everything else quietens down.
Yeah. Well, there's no even just coming on at night after your work and just sitting with your feet up for half an hour
I
fishing,
will.
you know,
After I'm
fishing
finished doing
or
the cooking,
hunting.
I do the cooking in the house, so
Oh,
And
speaking of
who
which,
asked that question? That was Simon.
that was Simon, yeah.
Good man.
And I've
Great question.
actually got a message from Simon's dad, well, a question from Simon's dad, Peter, as well.
Hi, Peter, Simon's dad.
All
Nice one.
right, yeah.
Nice one.
So when you were at Tombstone, you were wearing a Hawaiian style shirt, but it looked like it had Roy Rogers and Trigger on the front.
Oh, that was at Deadwood
Was
recently.
that at Deadwood, was it? Right.
Yeah, it was,
Sorry, I do apologize.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. I'll be wearing it at no, I'll be wearing it at Comic Con at one of the days. I don't know which day yet, but I'll definitely bring it out. Yeah.
excellent. And Peter would like to know where you got it because he wants one.
Timu.
Timu. Right, I'll let them know.
Timu, it's on Timu. And if Peter wants, if he ever gets to meet me at a Comic-Con, tell him to bring it and I'll sign it for him. No problem.
Well, they're down in England, Norwich, I believe. So
Oh, nice.
if you're doing a Comic Con down that way, then chances are you might get a visit down there.
I know they have Norcon down there, down in East Anglia. That's a big one. That's a lot of fun. There's one or two other folks that I follow on social media from around there, and they're brilliant people. So who knows, if I ever get a chance, if I'm invited to Norcon, then I'll sign Peter his Roy Rogers shirt. Can't
Excellent.
find it on Timu. I'll bring my one. I'll sign it and I'll flag it to him.
I'm quite sure he would do that as well, to be honest. Not so much Peter, but definitely Simon.
Yeah.
All right, now Dave B, you've already sort of partly answered this, right? So you're a gamer yourself, or you have been a big gamer in the past?
I love the classic games. I grew up. I'm dating myself now. I grew up playing Commodore 64s. I grew up playing Atari 2600s. I grew up playing Sega Mega Drives and Nintendo 64. So gaming has always been a part of my life. And I've dipped in and out of it as I've gotten older. But yeah, I consider myself, I would be someone who loves video games. I wouldn't consider myself a gamer because I wouldn't be able to hold a conversation with folks who love, Call of Duty and stuff like that. But
yeah, I'm the same, to be honest. It's certain games that I like,
FIFA.
And that's about it. But
I'm a big fan of FIFA.
Is FIFA your favourite?
I mean, that's the one I play on a regular basis. Yeah, I like to take teams. I like to take really crap teams like Dunfermline and make them,
Yeah. I brought that ferry across the Mersey back to Liverpool. We used.
Oh, listen, when it comes to FIFA, if I'm managing Dunfermline or who was I managing recently, Tranmere Rovers, I'll go out and I'll beat Liverpool to win that Champions League, baby. Bring home the bacon.
And Liverpool's your team as well, aren't they?
Yeah, nobody needs to know. It's all online.
All right, and John would like to know.
Hiya, John.
It is John. Well, his picture's John Marston anyway when he pops up in chat. Yeah, if Sean had survived when it got to chapter 6 in Beaver Hollow, do you think he would have sided with Arthur and John, or would he have stuck with Dutch?
No, he would have been with Arthur and John. Arthur was Sean's big brother. And you can even see it, like, I'm Irish and you're Scottish, so you get this as well. It's part of our little Celtic tradition. We show love and affection by taking the piss.
Ripping the Mick, yeah. Definitely taking the piss.
People, giving people a hard time. And the way Sean's bravado masks a lot of his, I think, affection. I did a little video this morning in Central Park, and I talked about the squirrels scratching people's faces.
I watched that,
He talked about John Marston in that regard. Jesus, squirrels going to scratch our face. And the way he messes with, English Morgan and all the rest of it, that masks a lot of his affection, I think, for John and for Arthur. So yeah, I think Sean probably would have. I don't even think it. I know it. He would have been
definitely been with Arthur and John.
That's
what I like to hear.
Arthur and John, yeah, big time.
Yeah, because I think if Sean had got the chance, he would have done Micah. And
probably would have. And also the thing with Sean as well is, in the game, and this is something as well that, without getting too arty-farty about it all, part of my own process is, you want to believe in these characters as an actor. You make them real. And in this particular time in America, and like it is now, like the whole world is, it's political. And just kind of, Sean, although he couldn't read, he does mention, he's not an idiot. He knows the difference between who the Jacobites were, and he asked these questions of people, and he talks about, like, my dad always says, no, politics is politics. Pick a side, like, whose side are you on? And I feel like Sean, personally, as an actor, a lot of, I won't say my own personal politics because I don't get into that, but I think Sean was somebody who does have beliefs, and he does have, certain loyalties, and he kind of pins his loyalties to the mast. So I think he would have been on that side of the camp.
Yeah, well, as he says himself, he likes to burn down manor houses and things like that, doesn't he? So
that's it.
Yeah, he's definitely got a thing against toffs.
He doesn't hold with that whole kind of upper class kind of stuff. I think I think he is very much he's very much a man of the people. He believes in doing the right thing and looking out for each other. I think personally, at his core, he would have been very much. There would have been a touch of James Connolly, great Irish socialist leader, about him. I think he is about equity. Obviously, he escaped Ireland at a point where Ireland was a colony, and he would have been part of, the Brotherhood and all the rest of it. So I think at his core, he is a working class, to coin another great Irishman, John Lennon, a working class hero. Wow, getting
Definitely.
deep.
Yeah.
Who asked the question, John?
I was going to say, I mean, I'm not quite sure how far back it goes, but did Sean leave his family in Ireland to come to America, or did his whole family come over with him? Because I know he lost his dad, and his dad's his dad was a bit political as well, wasn't he?
He talks about his dad a lot. I think he was heavily influenced by his dad. The history is a little bit weird. I always feel that, I know the game is set in 1899, and I always get the feeling that it could have been maybe 20 years earlier for someone like Sean. And actually, there's a great book, the Torre Olson's book about Red Dead history.
Yeah, I've got it. I've read. I've listened to it.
Oh, it's fantastic. And I've actually spoken to Torre. He's brilliant. He's a great guy. Get him on the podcast. He's a really great guy to talk about.
Definitely something to think about. Yeah.
He's a great guy to talk about the history of the game. And certainly there are similarities there with a lot of, the Irish who came over here post-famine, who came over here, who were definitely more political. So I think there's definite influences there in that regard. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. But I'm not big on politics. I'm like Sean's dad. No politics is politics, No
politics, because by not choosing a side, you are picking a side. That's the point. No politics is
politics. Exactly.
It is a standpoint to kind of stand on the outside and say, this doesn't affect me. That's the point of, I think, what that comment was. That's it. Like, you have to pick a side, and I'm not saying you do, my love, but I'm just.
I'd say I look after my uncle, so I just say to him, "Who you voting for this time?" Blah blah. Okay, I'll do the same.
Yeah, I keep it to myself.
He's the one that keeps up in all of the politics and stuff.
That's all right. I keep it to myself, but
I'm the same.
That's it.
All right, now some sort of like speed questions, as in. Just sort of like, I'm going to ask you silly things like this.
It's been 6 or 7 years now, so I can't remember a lot.
No, it's not that. It's normal everyday questions like, do you prefer beans or scrambled eggs on toast?
Do I prefer beans or scrambled eggs on toast? When I go home to Ireland, I always make sure I have beans on the side. And when I get an Irish breakfast, there's always beans. I always make sure I get them. Heinz, there you go.
Got to be the Heinz 57.
Not being, but I'm also a New Yorker, so I like my eggs over easy, man. Nice and runny on a bagel. There you go.
That's how I make my eggs as well. And do you butter your toast?
I do. Kerrygold.
What is it about the Americans that don't butter their toast?
I know, and the tea is always freaking cold. It's crazy.
That's because they've not got a kettle over there, have they?
I have a kettle.
Do you got a kettle?
I have a nice electric kettle, absolutely. And nothing but Barry's tea. Cork, the best tea in the world. County Cork, Barry's, and Kerrygold butter. Can't beat it.
Okay. Soccer or rugby? I know you're a fan of both, but
I'm
I'm
a
going to
fan of
put you
both.
on the spot.
I'm a fan of both. I'm probably more of a soccer fan. I go to soccer a lot. I watch. I've been all over the world. Well, I haven't been all over the world, but anytime I'm anywhere else in the world, I'll go to a soccer match. I've been to soccer matches in Armenia. I've been to the World Cup in South Africa, in Germany. I go to Liverpool whenever I can to see Liverpool. I go to see New York City FC here. I do. Anytime, any chance to go to see a soccer match, I love it. I love rugby. I love the Six Nations. I love that rivalry. I love the fact that Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I love that we hate the English so much. It's great fun, you know.
Don't call them the old enemy for
You
nothing.
know, the Sassenachs. I love it.
What's your favourite piece of Sean's dialogue?
Oh God. Um, I'm now I'm now good at homework, Arthur, but I can scrap. I love that. I love all his dialogue. I think actually going back to the Karen Jones stuff, I absolutely adored that. It was so risque and so kind of blue and kind of, I remember doing
When
it.
I was sitting outside as Arthur, do you know how they had the table and chairs outside the tent, but it was still about 20 feet away from it?
Yeah,
Well, I was sitting there and I was listening to the dialogue inside the tent, hee-hawing and laughing outside the tent,
yeah.
or uh, I was hee-hawing and laughing. But then when they were finished and Karen walks out and Sean comes out and he says, "And what are you hanging about there for, Arthur, you old creep?"
Yeah,
Well, I was in stitches. I thought only Arthur could get caught listening in, you know.
there was another line in that scene that I loved, and it's Jeez, this old tent hasn't seen this much action since wee Jackie popped out.
It's one of the first ones you see when you
Yeah,
go in. It's brilliant. Yeah,
I love,
definitely one of the better scenes.
I
But
love.
yeah, it's so missable as well. So the amount of people that haven't seen it.
Go back and look,
Yeah,
and also, I mean,
exactly.
the classic Shawn one is classic Shawn one is you're a lot less ugly looking from that other angle, Arthur. You know, that's
Oh,
the
that's when we're
production right
rescuing
away.
you. Yeah, beer or whiskey?
Beer. Oh,
Definitely beer. You're not like
whiskey,
a
whiskey's
wee
the
Irish whiskey or
nope. No
no?
love for the Ishkabaha. Beer. I love beer. Actually, I haven't had a proper beer in about 11 months because I'm a trainer for the marathon.
No?
I've actually, believe it or not, and I know this is mad, I've really gotten into non-alcoholic beer. There was a time when non-alcoholic beer, and I worked in bars for 27 years. There was a time when non-alcoholic beer was just shite. It was rubbish.
Yeah.
Here in America right now, there's so many great companies. They're just focusing on non-alcoholic beers, and they're doing a great job. And even I was home recently in Ireland, and I stayed on the Guinness Zero the whole time, and it was great. You go to the pub, a couple of pints, jump in the car, drive home, no bother. Yeah, I love beer. Love beer. I've never been a fan of liquor, to be honest with you. Just yeah, doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Well, it does. It does too much for me too quickly.
Do you like a cider as well, or is it just the
Oh,
Guinness?
yeah, on a hot summer day, a pint bottle of Bulmers or Magners, I think you call it in the UK. They
Yeah.
call it Magners here as well. I love Magners, Bulmers cider. Yeah, nice cider as well. But I haven't drank cider in a while. But yeah, beer, nice cold cider with a bunch of ice in there.
Yeah.
Bob's your uncle.
Right. So back to the theatre. What are you working on just now?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I just finished a one-man show in a
What was
pub
it
here,
called?
The Smuggler.
The Smuggler. And is that
Yeah,
the one where you're in the bar?
it is. It is. It's
Yeah.
a one-man show about an Irish guy, and he's down on his luck, and he's got a wife, and his kid is sick, and he ends up getting into the glamorous world of human trafficking.
I'm not even going to ask how.
Yeah, well, it's based on true stories and stuff like that. It's a brilliant play. It's a one-man show by a fantastic playwright called Ronan Noon. My wife, Jessica DeLucia, just produced our last production with our great director, Connor Bagley. We actually, I've been doing it since, Jesus, I started doing this play in 2017, and we've done it in a bunch of different theatres around New York. I did it at the Irish Rep, where I work a lot here in New York. Fantastic theatre. We did it off Broadway there with my theatre company, Origin. We do the annual First Irish Theatre Festival. I performed it up in Nantucket recently, in Martha's Vineyard last year. We just did it here in a bar in New York City, where I actually made a bunch of cocktails for people as they walk in. So for the first hour, I'm just serving cocktails, making drinks, having a bit of crack, being a bartender, and then the play happens. It's a lot of fun, and I serve a few during the play. I do the old Tom Cruise bit and throw shit around and stuff. So that's great.
So is there a way to see it in the UK? Have you got a DVD or something like that from it?
Hopefully, we are working on trying to bring it to Ireland next year. So fingers crossed that'll happen, and hopefully then we might get over to Bonnie, Scotland, and maybe take it down to England as well for a bit of fun. That would be great. And maybe
definitely go and see that.
If it happens, I will let you know for sure. And who knows? Maybe the Edinburgh Fringe could be on the cards. We don't know, but that's the plan. Next Monday, I start rehearsals for a fantastic show here in New York called The Dead, 1904, which is based on the James Joyce story of the same name. Yeah, that's going to take that's the Irish Repertory Theatre as well. Fantastic. Of course,
Joyce is an Irish poet, isn't he?
Yeah. Irish novelist. He wrote Ulysses, which is a big one. So that's going to be taking place at the American Irish Historical Society, which is this beautiful mansion overlooking Central Park on Fifth Avenue, which is actually the home of a brilliant Scotsman in a show called Succession. Brian Cox plays a character called Logan Roy in a fabulous TV show called Succession, which is on HBO. Where we're doing this play is in the mansion that's his home in this TV show. So that's going to be happening from November 20th until the 7th of January. It's an immersive play where basically the story of the dead takes place in the mansion as we're having like a Christmas dinner. So that's another reason I've been running a lot, because 8 weeks eating turkey and roast beef and drinking sherry every day.
I don't know, that sounds like heaven to me.
Yeah, twice a day, so we'll see how it goes. So that's going to be taking place from the 20th of November until the 7th of January. I'm also doing a musical of a fabulous new play called Parcel from America. That's happening at Theatre 555 here off Broadway on the 30th of October. It's a musical. I get to sing. I get to do all that stuff. So it's going to be wonderful. I've also got a theatre company called Origin Theatre Company. We do the annual First Irish Theatre Festival here in New York. It's been going the company has been going since 2002. And this festival has been taking place every year since 2008. And I'm proud to say that even during COVID, we still managed to present an entire festival online. So we kind of kept our end of the bargain and kept people involved and all. And yeah, it's what I get up in the morning for is theatre. I love it dearly. So
definitely your favourite choice.
Yeah, I've said this to people in interviews in the past. Theatre, the video game work with Red Dead, to me is the closest thing to theatre, because you got that camaraderie of working within a cast who we all get to know each other, we get to know our characters. And also for you as an audience member in the video game, it's the closest thing to sitting in an audience in the theatre, because it's very personal, it's very intimate. You get to experience.
You are Arthur.
You're experiencing that story very much the same way you do when you sit in an audience and watch a play. It's very much an individual thing, as opposed to television and film, which I love television and film. They're brilliant mediums, they're brilliant art forms. But, you're kind of on the outside looking in, you know? So to me, the video game world is so much closer to theatre just because of those reasons, So,
yeah. And would you ever do another video game?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
If what
Yeah,
other sort of
anybody
games
would
would you
ask
like?
me. Yeah.
So what
What?
other games would you like to do? What sort of would it be more
I see. I mean,
story?
I've seen GTA, and I think the work that those guys have done is just beautiful. I have to say, again, I wouldn't be a gamer in this sense, but I think the storytelling that you're starting to see happening in games that has been
Uh,
happening for years. I think God of War to me looks like an absolutely gorgeous piece of art. It looks like a fantastic game to be involved in. Um, I have a few friends who've been involved in Spider-Man 2. That looked like a lot of fun. I know
oh,
Ben Nasir, Delal, who plays Charles Smith, Jim Peary, who plays
oh.
Angelo Bronte, they were involved in that. That looked like an awesome game to be involved in. Um,
Noshir does Star Wars as well, doesn't he? So
Nasir's
yeah,
legend. He's like, jeez,
Oda Kuna, yeah.
yeah, he's like a good-looking Marlon. Well, Marlon Brando's beautiful, but he's the godfather for me of video games. He's what's that one? Akira. That's the samurai one.
Oh, oh yeah. I know the one you're on about. I've not played it yet,
I
though.
think there's a new version of it now. There's an even new
Is
one.
this the the Yoki or Yoshi or something? It's a
Yeah,
different one
yeah,
now.
yeah. So I mean,
Oh,
yeah, I'd be any work at all, but yeah, I would love to be involved in video game work more and more. And
yeah.
who knows? I do know that there's an awful lot of video game work happening in Ireland. I know Romero Games have relocated to Galway. The Romeros are the people behind Doom, which is like the granddad of first
Uh,
first.
First person shooters, yeah.
So knowing that people like that are actually working out of Ireland is really exciting. And I know there's another great company up in the north of Ireland called Buck Egypt Games. They're currently developing a Gaelic football game, which
Oh, that'd be different.
yeah, and again, as a sports fan, I grew up playing Gaelic football. I even played hurling, which is our version of shinty. So,
Uh, uh,
I played a little bit of that as a young guy as well. So it's exciting. It's exciting to just see all these really great companies operating in Ireland and in the UK and everywhere else. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe there could be something there. Jeez, get suntan from my iPhone here. I'm going to turn this around.
all right. Well, I think I've just about covered everything that I really wanted to talk about. Is there anything you want to talk about
Um,
other than, are you doing
I
pantomime
want to
this
ask
year,
you,
for instance?
what's your next game that you're excited to play?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I'd like to try the new Avatar one, but it's so expensive right now, so I'll
Yeah.
probably wait until that comes down in price a bit.
Right.
And I just wish, I don't know if you'll remember it yourself, but GoldenEye,
Oh yeah.
I'd love them to bring
That
that to the
was
new gen consoles.
that was
But I
Nintendo
don't
64,
know.
wasn't it?
I think it was Nintendo, wasn't it? Who was it made GoldenEye? I can't remember.
It was definitely Nintendo. It was a Super